Hey, what is it about languages that make us want to study them at a desk? Just you and some drills, or lesson, or you and a tutor or teacher. Maybe that's not the way to go to continue learning a language. It can be a good place to start, but what if you want to make substantial progress and become an effective communicator? Because look, your neighbor Charlie who's learning French, or your coworker Samantha who's working on her Japanese, or your pizza delivery guy who's really trying to learn Greek. They're all facing the same issue. They're stuck. Because that shit is hard, you know? Languages all have thousands of different words that all have to be put in the right order, stressed and pronounced in the right way, and used in the right context. It's a total new world to dive into and understand.
When facing a new language to learn, everyone is equal, no matter their background, education, or wealth. The only thing that seems to have an impact is age, but then again, even teens struggle to learn a language. Remember your high school Spanish classes that you remember almost nothing of? So why would some chosen random people be so successful at learning languages, almost as if they had a language gene stronger than the rest of us? Only few people can say that they successfully learn a foreign language with which they can effectively communicate. Most of us try, hit an invisible barrier maybe a few times, and end up putting the language we so badly wanted to learn on the back burner, left for later.
So what could be done differently? What could you do as someone that doesn't have that thing for languages to finally have that breakthrough with Korean? Or how can your bus operator have his with Italian?
I definitely have felt the rigidity of the invisible barrier. It's powerful, man. Almost as if the universe tried to tell you,
No, you can't have that.
but I have made it through. I have successfully learned a language, and another one, and another one. While I still feel the resistance of the invisible barrier when I learn a language, I now know why it's here, what it's made of, and what to do to get granted a breakthrough to gain momentum.
Now, I'll continue this based on the idea that if you want to learn something, you first need to understand it. If that doesn't sit right with you, I'll justify it by saying that there is no way one person can replicate a language from the ground up, even with every grammar rule and the complete blueprint. It has to be drawn from some sort of inspiration and a love experience. Now, back to it.
Why don't we understand all the languages we come across? It might sound like a philosophical question, but the answer is pretty simple. If I, for example, don't understand Georgian, it's mainly because I've never experienced anything related to Georgian or Georgians. It doesn't need to be a whole other language. It could also be with English. If there was a team of aerospace engineers in my backyard right now discussing their ongoing project, dude, I'd be totally lost. I don't know anything about aerospace engineering. I don't know the concepts, the vocabulary. I would not understand a thing because I have never experienced anything related to aerospace engineering. And here is the kicker. If I don't understand something, it is because I have never experienced anything related enough to that thing. If the words I pour in my ears don't make my brain light up and remember the experiences that I had that were similar, I won't understand anything.
Because, let's be clear, messages and sentences carry way more meaning than just the characters making them up. And even a few simple words can trigger many related memories. That's exactly why private jokes are a thing. But to experience these new things, you need to understand the language. Understanding what these things are is somewhat of a prerequisite, otherwise everything would just be noise.
And that's the invisible barrier. If you want to understand something, you first need to experience it. But if you want to experience anything, you need to understand a little bit, otherwise everything would just be noise. And through experience, understanding grows and grows. Now, here's the big limitation for language learning. I think I need to stand up.
There is no explanation good enough to allow you, me, or anyone to genuinely experience these things. I can't make you feel like how I felt when I jumped out of a plane just by talking to you. I can only draw on similar experiences that you may have had, and if you've never had any, the words I will say will just stay words and won't translate to anything profound or any feeling. If you want to fully understand how it feels like to jump out of a plane with a parachute, you need to do it too.
And if you want to understand your target language, you need to experience it too. And I personally believe that a first-hand experience far beats any media you find on the internet and any interaction you can have online, including video calls. There's just something about having people made out of flesh around you. To quote Cal Newport, author of the Digital Minimalism book, when we instead dedicate much of our socializing to low bandwidth, text-based communication, we're trading in our Ferrari for a horse and buggy. Powerful quote.
For each time I overcame the invisible barrier, I had to jump out of the plane, be immersed in a setting where the language I wanted to learn was used in an authentic way. For some languages, I found myself immersed in communities of immigrants or descendants of immigrants. For others, I actually traveled to a physical location and spoke it there. Immersion is not magic, but it is the way that I have found to actually understand things, words, concepts, emotions on a fundamental level, or with my feelings, rather than with comparison and explanations. And this has proven to be a very powerful way of learning. This invisible barrier can also materialize as a complete lack of reasons for learning your target language. There is no why besides I want to. And this, the subconscious doesn't really understand, and oftentimes it doesn't cooperate. It doesn't feel real.
Similarly to your subconscious, the speakers of your target language that you will encounter at some point won't understand exactly why you're learning their language and why you want to speak it with them. It's not willingly, of course, it's just that there isn't any reason, really. And that's why they won't be as helpful unless they're tutors or other language enthusiasts, which is a very small fraction of the population. Whereas when you are in the physical location where your target language is spoken, it's blatantly clear why you want to speak it or to learn it. You need it to be there. And needs cause much more change than wants.
So, how does it actually look like? You hopped on that bus, took that plane, or maybe you just drove there. What now? Who do you talk with? What do you say to them? There is plenty of impersonal daily interactions that you will be brought to have with locals of any place you visit. Some of these conversations will be short and effective. Others will spark more complex and more challenging conversations. Not attaching too much importance to the outcome of the conversation and to the outcome of the immersion trip in general is crucial. This state of mind will allow you to have fun and take things lightly. That way, you will maximize the opportunities for errors, corrections, and you will gradually turn into someone more fluent and you will meet more people.
It is such a dense subject, and I think it would need its own video to just do a good deep dive because it's just so interesting. But anyway, if you want to push through the invisible barrier and actually continue learning your target language and speak it, you need to make it a need and not just a want through external factors and reason, and an actual reason to learn it. If you find anything other than physical immersion, well, that's perfect, that's super cool. But for now, that's the way I found to make a to make a emotional connection with the language I want to learn and the people that speak it, and understand it with my emotions and on a fundamental level. If you found this video and happen to be on day one of your language journey, please check the other video I made about how to start learning the language, because it doesn't talk about immersion, that's one thing, and also it will give you some tactics or strategies to actually get familiar with your language. I don't expect everyone who watches this video to actually understand everything that I say. After all, people have been successful at learning languages with other means, sometimes without even getting out of their home and without any physical immersion. I just think that this is the way with the highest probability of success, given that you go in with the right mindset. So yeah, that's everything I needed to say. Thanks a lot for watching. This was Luca Leandri. See you later.